What if the greatest archaeological discovery of our time is already beneath our feet, hidden by layers of sand and history? Cutting-edge imaging technology just pierced through thousands of years of Egyptian sand, and scientists are stunned by what they found hiding in plain sight. In early 2025, researchers using advanced scanning equipment made an announcement that sent shockwaves through archaeological circles worldwide. They claimed to have detected something extraordinary lurking beneath one of humanity's most iconic landmarks, an intricate maze of tunnels, rooms, and passages that nobody knew existed. The team utilized ground-penetrating technology to peer deep into the earth below the ancient monuments, revealing patterns that suggest deliberate construction on a massive scale. According to their interpretation of the data, there are enormous vertical passages plunging downward, interconnected spaces arranged with geometric precision, and even evidence of elaborate engineering that challenges everything we thought we understood about this location. The discovery has sparked fierce debate. Is this genuine evidence of a forgotten civilization's achievements? Or are we witnessing another chapter in the long history of misinterpreted data and wishful thinking about Egypt's mysteries? Let's examine what the evidence actually shows. At the world-famous site where three monumental structures have stood for millennia, a collaborative research effort involving scientists from multiple institutions decided to investigate persistent rumors about hidden architecture beneath the surface. Professor Corrado Malanga from Italy's University of Pisa partnered with colleagues including Filippo Biondi from Scotland's University of Strathclyde to launch an ambitious mapping project. Their methodology relied on sophisticated remote sensing rather than physical excavation. The tool they chose was synthetic aperture radar technology, capable of transmitting electromagnetic pulses into the ground and analyzing the reflections that return. This approach has revolutionized fields from geology to planetary science because it can detect subsurface variations in density and structure without disturbing the site itself. The goal was straightforward yet ambitious: create a comprehensive underground map and determine whether the Earth was concealing secrets that conventional archaeology had missed. Almost immediately, their instruments began registering unusual readings. Initial scans showed what radar surveys typically reveal: shifts in density, irregular formations, potential empty spaces. But then distinctive patterns emerged that couldn't be easily dismissed. The data suggested 8 massive cylindrical shafts extending vertically into the depths. These weren't shallow depressions or minor voids. According to the measurements, each shaft descended more than 2,100 feet, a staggering depth that dwarfs any known chamber at this archaeological site. What made these readings particularly intriguing wasn't just the depth. The uniformity suggested intentional design. The walls appeared smooth and consistent, far too regular to represent natural geological features like collapsed caverns or erosion channels. This pointed toward human engineering on a scale that seemed almost impossible. When nature carves, it creates chaos. When humans build, they create patterns. But the revelations didn't stop there. Surrounding several of these vertical passages, the scans detected spiral-shaped formations that curved downward in methodical, elegant arcs. As the team refined their imaging techniques, these spirals resolved into features that resembled ancient staircases, massive stone corkscrews descending along the shaft walls, potentially providing access to the lower reaches. Staircases indicate purpose. They suggest that whatever exists below wasn't merely storage or accident, but something meant to be reached and used. The researchers hypothesized that these spiral pathways might have allowed ancient builders or religious practitioners to descend into the subterranean network. Perhaps by flickering torchlight, entering chambers that haven't seen human presence in thousands of years. Imagine robed figures making that descent, step by careful step, into depths where darkness and silence have reigned since before recorded history began. Then came perhaps the most extraordinary finding. At the terminus of two major shafts, the radar revealed enormous cube-shaped chambers. Each measured approximately 80 meters on every side, roughly the size of a modern city block. These weren't cramped passages or irregular caves. They were vast rooms exhibiting sharp angles and mathematical precision, as though someone had carved perfect geometric vaults directly into the bedrock itself. The question immediately arose: what purpose could such enormous spaces serve? Were they tombs for forgotten rulers? Ceremonial halls for rituals we can no longer comprehend? Or perhaps, in the most speculative interpretations, repositories for knowledge, ancient archives protecting wisdom from the ravages of time, war, and natural decay. As the scanning continued, the complexity only increased. Surrounding the main shafts and primary chambers, 5 additional structures began to take shape in the data. These featured multiple levels, overlapping architectures, and connecting corridors. Some passages ran straight, others curved toward junction points. What emerged wasn't a random collection of caves, but an organized network, a deliberate system suggesting careful planning and sophisticated engineering knowledge. The proximity of these underground features to the surface monuments wasn't coincidental. Several chambers aligned almost perfectly with structures above ground, implying that whoever constructed the visible temples and pyramids may have simultaneously built an entire hidden infrastructure below. This raises a fascinating possibility. Perhaps this famous archaeological complex functioned as a two-tier system: public monuments reaching toward the heavens, and a secret mirror world descending into the earth. If accurate, this would fundamentally transform our understanding of the site. Rather than isolated religious symbols or standalone tombs, these structures might represent components of an integrated design, one part visible to all, another part known only to select initiates. This vast network of shafts, spiral staircases, geometric chambers, and corridors might have been built to preserve something invaluable, protect something sacred, or facilitate something we've yet to comprehend. Perhaps the purpose was practical, perhaps spiritual, perhaps something that blurred the boundaries between both concepts. What makes these findings so compelling isn't merely their scale, it's the silence surrounding them. No historical texts reference these structures. No ancient maps show their layout. No archaeological surveys detected them until now. These chambers, if they genuinely exist as the scans suggest, remained completely hidden beneath one of the most intensively studied locations on Earth for over 4 millennia. The research team has cautiously noted they cannot yet confirm the precise age or material composition of these detected structures. That would require direct investigation, but they've emphasized the repeating geometric patterns and deliberate alignment, which show no characteristics of natural formation. To outside observers, the implications seem staggering: a hidden realm beneath this iconic plateau, massive in scope, architectural in nature, and completely absent from historical records. The discovery challenges fundamental assumptions about what we know. Who created this? When did they build it? And why? As scanning technology continued mapping the subterranean layers, researchers noticed something that wasn't solid architecture. Hidden between the walls and chambers were narrow channels and grooves that didn't fit the pattern of structural support or stairways. These formations appeared to trace the movement of liquid water systems threading through the underground complex like a circulatory network. These linear features seemed to follow the natural slope of terrain in some areas, while in others they cut sharply through bedrock in ways suggesting intentional engineering. They weren't scattered randomly. They appeared to connect key underground features: the spiral staircases, the enormous cube chambers, the multi-level structures, as though water once played an integral, central role in whatever this hidden system was designed to accomplish. For archaeologists, discovering water systems in desert environments always raises important questions. In ancient Egypt, water held significance far beyond mere survival. The Nile wasn't simply a river, it represented the axis around which civilization, agriculture, commerce, and religious belief all revolved. When evidence of ancient water channels appears near structures as symbolically important as these monuments, it demands careful consideration. The research team speculated that this underground network of waterways might have connected the subterranean spaces to the great river itself, or to reservoirs that existed closer to the plateau before geography and climate shifted over millennia. If true, these channels could have facilitated the transportation of construction materials, provisions, ritual objects, or people. It's not unprecedented. Some Egyptologists have long theorized that water transport played crucial roles in moving massive stone blocks from distant quarries to construction sites. But this discovery points towards something beyond surface-level logistics. It suggests a sustained, engineered water system beneath the ground itself, a level of infrastructure that would be remarkable by any standard. Beyond practical applications, water's symbolic weight in ancient Egyptian cosmology adds profound layers to this mystery. In creation mythology, the universe began as a boundless ocean of darkness called Nun, the primordial waters from which the first land emerged and upon which the first god initiated creation. Water wasn't merely an element. It represented origin itself. To return to the waters meant returning to the source, to the beginning. If this underground complex genuinely incorporated water as a core architectural feature, it's difficult to avoid contemplating ceremonial purposes, ritual purification, symbolic rebirth, or even the simulation of an underworld journey. In ancient Egypt, water was the boundary between life and the eternal. Perhaps initiates descended those spiral staircases, surrounded by the echo of flowing aquifers, passing through corridors designed to evoke the mythical rivers of the Egyptian realm of the dead. Perhaps these channels weren't meant to carry cargo at all, but to create an atmosphere, an experience, a transformation. Some channels appeared to terminate near the base of the massive cube-shaped chambers. That proximity, and the deliberate planning it would have required, invites further speculation about whether these rooms served as temples, tombs, or something else entirely. The researchers also noted that certain patterns in the scans, particularly in areas surrounding the shafts, suggested water erosion or long-term interaction between stone and moving liquid. These weren't signs of catastrophic flooding or structural damage, but of intentional channeling controlled, sustained, and adapted over time. There's also the question of acoustic properties. In ancient underground sites around the world, water and sound often play mysterious interconnected roles. Certain chambers seem designed to resonate, amplify, or muffle specific frequencies, creating effects that are neither accidental nor trivial. With water flowing, or having once flowed through this network, one must wonder whether acoustics were considered. Did the movement of water generate natural harmonics within the chambers, enhancing ritual atmospheres or giving rise to legends about the monuments themselves? Speaking from a purely practical standpoint, if people ever worked or inhabited these depths, or if the network required maintenance over extended periods, water access would have been essential. Even basic needs like ventilation or temperature regulation could have been assisted by flowing water. In desert climates, Underground water often stabilizes ambient temperatures, keeping spaces cooler during intense daytime heat and warmer during cold desert nights. The idea of an underground complex beneath this famous plateau already challenges conventional understanding. But the possibility that this complex functioned through water, whether practically, symbolically, or ceremonially, adds an entirely new dimension to the puzzle. The researchers haven't yet confirmed whether any water channels still contain moisture traces or mineral deposits. However, if future studies detect remnants of ancient flow through soil sampling, isotopic analysis, or additional imaging, it could unlock independent methods for dating these channels separate from the structures themselves. That information could help establish a clearer timeline for when this subterranean network was built, or at minimum, when it was last actively used. Water leaves lasting traces in sediment layers, in mineral trails, in erosion patterns carved into stone. If this system functioned as proposed, it may be one of the few surviving methods for reconstructing the habits and intentions of its mysterious builders. The monuments themselves have resisted precise dating for generations. But perhaps the evidence beneath them, hidden in the pathways of forgotten waterways, will reveal stories the stones above cannot tell. And so beneath the familiar sand and rock, a new element now flows through the mystery water, invisible and silent, once vital, now buried. Yet even now it may preserve echoes of rituals, engineering, and belief systems we're only beginning to imagine. What was its true purpose? Was it merely functional infrastructure, or foundational to something far older and far stranger than we've dared to believe? As the structural details of the subterranean network came into sharper focus, the shafts, chambers, corridors, and unmistakable signs of intentional design, one theory began to resonate louder than all others. A concept long relegated to legend, yet never entirely silenced. The notion that perhaps beneath these sands, researchers had stumbled upon the edges of something ancient, elusive, and potentially world-altering. The Hall of Records. According to various esoteric traditions, this legendary hall is said to be a vast repository of ancient knowledge and archive hidden deep beneath the plateau, containing the accumulated wisdom of lost civilizations. Some link it to Atlantis. Others discuss it in religious or mystical contexts. But across cultures and theories, the core concept remains consistent, that a vault of forgotten history lies buried beneath the Stone Guardian, or beneath the pyramids themselves, waiting for humanity to reach a moment of readiness. This myth gained particular prominence through American mystic Edgar Cayce, who in the early 20th century predicted that such a hall would eventually be discovered near the Great Pyramid, housing detailed records of a pre-dynastic civilization that vanished before recorded time began. Though historians and archaeologists have long distanced themselves from Cayce's visions, his predictions have never quite faded from public imagination. And now, with the detection of these deep geometric structures aligned with the monuments above, and located precisely where legends have always suggested they might be, speculation has reawakened with renewed intensity. Could these chambers, still unseen and unexplored, be more than architectural anomalies? Could they house scrolls, tablets, or knowledge systems long thought lost to myth? What makes this possibility so compelling isn't just the data, it's the context. These underground structures don't exist in isolation. Their size, symmetry, and proximity to one of the most symbolically loaded archaeological sites in human history give weight to speculation, even as caution remains essential. Whether these chambers truly contain repositories of lost knowledge or something more mundane, their existence invites a profound shift in how we view this famous plateau. It suggests we may have only scratched the surface of what was built here, and more importantly, why it was built. What allowed this revelation to surface wasn't physical excavation, but waves of electromagnetic energy pulsing through the Earth. Synthetic aperture radar technology made this glimpse possible. Unlike traditional ground-penetrating radar, which can be limited by depth and resolution, SAR offers the ability to map structures at greater depths with higher detail. Mounted on satellites or aircraft, this technology transmits radar pulses toward the Earth's surface, capturing the echoes that bounce back and compiling them into layered, high-resolution images. In the right conditions, SAR can detect density anomalies far below ground, uncovering cavities, corridors, and voids that conventional methods might miss entirely. In this case, SAR allowed researchers to scan an area spanning thousands of meters across and hundreds of meters deep without disturbing a single grain of sand. It was a non-invasive, data-driven approach that respected the sacred and delicate nature of the site while pulling back the curtain on what lay hidden beneath. What the radar revealed was astonishing in both detail and scope. The scans didn't merely indicate the presence of empty space. They traced the shape of it, clean lines, symmetry, connectivity. Multiple features mirrored each other or fell into predictable geometrical layouts, something rarely found in natural formations. It was these patterns that distinguished the findings, suggesting not natural caverns or accidental voids, but designed spaces conceived and executed with clear intent. This method of seeing into the past without physically breaching it has become an essential component of modern archaeology. Here it served as a kind of temporal window, allowing us to peer into a world buried for thousands of years without yet touching it. With each scan, the picture became more intricate and more haunting. The idea of an underground city was no longer mere theory or folklore. It was a layered reality encoded in stone and shadow, waiting to be interpreted. The shafts and spirals, the colossal chambers, the interwoven corridors, they began to form something greater than the sum of their individual parts. A blueprint, a design, a whisper from the past saying, "Look deeper." What struck researchers and observers alike was the intentionality. These weren't random cuts in rock or accidental collapses. They were deliberate, calculated, and arranged in a manner suggesting deep understanding of space, energy, and symbolism. Beneath the pyramid complex, already one of the most geometrically sophisticated constructions on Earth, was a mirror world designed with equal care. For some, this felt like a kind of sacred inversion, pyramids rising sharply into the sky, reaching toward divine realms, and beneath them, descending tunnels and chambers dropping into the underworld, a balance, a duality. The ancient Egyptians frequently spoke of life and death, day and night, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt as two halves of a cosmic whole. Perhaps the pyramid complex followed the same philosophy. What rises must also descend. As the radar continued to map this subterranean expanse, the visual data began to resemble a blueprint for something that shouldn't exist, not at this scale, not at this depth, not at this level of architectural sophistication, especially if it predates the known phases of dynastic construction. Yet the scans didn't lie. With every pass, the story grew more intricate. This is where the line between archaeology and imagination begins to blur. Not recklessly, but in the way all great mysteries do. When we stand at the edge of the known and peer into the unknown, the mind naturally begins to fill the space. What was it used for? Who walked these halls? Why was it built? And why was it hidden? The recent claims of a vast underground city beneath the pyramids have ignited both intrigue and skepticism within the scientific community. While the initial findings suggest a complex subterranean network, many experts urge extreme caution, emphasizing the need for rigorous validation before redefining our understanding of ancient Egyptian architecture and culture. Leading the critique is Dr. Zahi Hawass, a renowned Egyptian archaeologist and former minister of antiquities. He has dismissed the claims as lacking scientific validity, asserting that the techniques employed require much more scrutiny. Dr. Hawass has emphasized that no official permits have been granted for such explorations, and no missions are currently operating inside the pyramid structures. He stated that rumors circulating about these discoveries have no basis in established fact and lack empirical evidence to support such extraordinary assertions. The use of synthetic aperture radar technology by the research team has also faced scrutiny. Professor Lawrence Conyers, an expert in radar applications and archaeology from the University of Denver, expressed doubts about the feasibility of detecting such deep structures with radar pulses at these distances. He characterized the claims of a vast city beneath the pyramids as a significant exaggeration, suggesting that while smaller subsurface features might be detectable, the identification of extensive underground cities exceeds the current proven capabilities of this technology. A major point of contention is the absence of peer-reviewed publication of these findings. The scientific process relies heavily on peer review to validate research methodologies and conclusions. Without this critical evaluation, the broader academic community remains cautious about accepting these claims at face value. The researchers led by Professors Malanga and Biyandi have yet to present their data and interpretations for independent assessment, leading to further skepticism regarding the validity of their assertions. The notion of hidden chambers beneath this famous plateau is not new. Over the years, various explorations have sought to uncover such mysteries. For instance, the Scan Pyramids project in 2017 utilized muon radiography to detect a large void within the Great Pyramid, later referred to as the Big Void. However, the purpose and significance of this cavity remain subjects of ongoing research and debate. Similarly, the legendary Hall of Records, purported to house ancient knowledge beneath the Sphinx or pyramids, has captivated imagination for decades. Despite numerous investigations, no concrete evidence has been found to substantiate its existence. The persistence of such legends underscores the need for empirical evidence before embracing new claims. While the allure of groundbreaking discoveries is undeniable, the scientific community emphasizes the importance of caution and methodological rigor. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The current assertions about an underground city beneath these famous pyramids, lacking peer-reviewed validation and facing significant methodological criticisms, highlight the necessity for thorough and transparent research practices. The debate surrounding the alleged structures serves as a reminder of the complexities inherent in archaeological research. While technological advancements like SAR offer promising avenues for exploration, their limitations must be acknowledged. The scientific method demands not only innovation but also validation through rigorous peer review and reproducibility. Until such standards are met, the claims of hidden cities beneath Egypt's ancient monuments remain speculative, warranting cautious consideration rather than definitive acceptance. The famous plateau, with its iconic pyramids and enigmatic sphinx, has long captivated scholars and enthusiasts alike. Despite extensive research and exploration, several aspects of these ancient structures remain shrouded in mystery. For this section, we'll examine some of the most intriguing unsolved puzzles of the plateau, offering insights into the complexities and enigmas that continue to fuel curiosity and debate. Of all the spaces hidden within the Great Pyramid, none is more overlooked or more quietly perplexing than the subterranean chamber. Located deep beneath the base of the pyramid, this chamber is the lowest of the three main interior rooms, and also the most mysterious. While the King's Chamber and Queen's Chamber are known for their precise geometry, polished stone surfaces and careful architectural design, the subterranean chamber is crude by comparison. Its walls are rough, hewn irregular, and unfinished, carved directly into the bedrock beneath the pyramid itself, as if it were abandoned halfway through construction or meant to remain in a raw, primal state. For decades, archaeologists have debated its purpose. Was it an early attempt at a burial chamber, later abandoned as the pyramid's design evolved? That's one theory. Some believe the pyramid began with more modest plans, and that as construction advanced and ambitions grew, the intended tomb was relocated higher. In that interpretation, the subterranean chamber is simply a discarded relic of an early blueprint. But others aren't convinced. In ancient Egyptian cosmology, what lies beneath the earth was not just empty space, it was sacred. The underworld, or Dot, was believed to exist beneath the surface, a realm of gods, judgment, and rebirth. Could the subterranean chamber, with its unadorned walls and hidden position, have served a more symbolic purpose? Some theorists have proposed more radical ideas, that the chamber was never meant for the dead, but for the living, a place of initiation, ritual, or isolation, where one entered the earth in silence, far removed from the world above, to encounter something sacred or secret. Others suggest it may not be a chamber at all, but part of a larger yet undiscovered system of an entryway to rooms still hidden beneath the pyramid. The lack of definitive evidence makes the subterranean chamber one of the most frustrating puzzles of the Great Pyramid. But it's precisely that ambiguity, that sense of something left unresolved, that keeps fascination alive. A chamber without a clear purpose in a monument where everything else seems to follow mathematical and spiritual precision stands out and invites endless speculation. And yet, as we've turned our gaze downward to study what lies beneath the pyramid, a more recent discovery has forced us to look up. In late 2017, a team of international scientists working with the Scan Pyramids project announced something unprecedented: a hidden cavity sealed within the heart of the Great Pyramid that had remained undetected for over 4,500 years. Using a technique called muon tomography, essentially a method of tracking subatomic particles as they pass through solid matter, the team was able to scan the pyramid's internal structure with sensitivity no previous tool had achieved. What they found stunned the archaeological world: a massive void, at least 30 meters, roughly 100 feet in length, positioned directly above the Grand Gallery. This wasn't an accidental air pocket or minor gap in stonework. The data indicated a real, measurable space completely sealed, completely inaccessible, and previously unknown. Immediately, questions began flooding in. Was this void an intentional part of the pyramid's design? If so, what purpose could it serve? The location of the void only deepened the mystery. The Grand Gallery is one of the most architecturally striking features of the Great Pyramid, a steep, narrow corridor that leads upward to the King's Chamber, lined with corbelled stone and steeped in precision. That a massive hidden cavity would sit directly above this feature and escape detection for so long was difficult to fathom. And yet there it was, verified by 3 separate teams using independent scans of a chamber, corridor, or space hovering silently above one of the most studied passageways on Earth. Some researchers, cautious as ever, have suggested practical explanations. Perhaps it's just a structural necessity, a giant void to ease pressure on the gallery below. Others are more intrigued. They point to its scale, its symmetry, its isolation. No known entrance, and no physical access. It was never meant to be seen, which of course raises the question, was it ever meant to be found? The Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities acknowledged the discovery, but stopped short of endorsing any single theory. No excavation has been approved. No drills, no cameras, no probes. For now, the void remains untouched. We know where it is. We know how big it is. But beyond that, it might as well be a secret carved into time itself. Just as the void above the Grand Gallery invites us to wonder what else remains hidden behind the familiar geometry of the Great Pyramid. Another feature, one that's been visible for generations, but remains just as mysterious, continues to puzzle researchers. A set of narrow, angular channels carved deep into the heart of the monument. At first glance, they don't seem particularly remarkable. 4 narrow shafts, each no more than 8 inches wide, rise from the king's and queen's chambers. The ones extending from the king's chamber reach the exterior of the pyramid. Those from the queen's chamber, however, stop short, terminating in sealed stone blocks deep within the masonry. No exit, no apparent destination, just stone. When British explorer Wayman Dixon investigated the Queen's Chamber shafts in 1872, he retrieved a few small artifacts: a copper hook, a stone ball. But beyond these, the shafts offered no clear explanation. Over a century later, modern robotic probes were sent inside. One famously found a tiny door, like block with copper fittings. Behind it, another void, another block, another unknown. The prevailing theory is that these shafts were symbolic, aligned to specific stars like Sirius and Orion's belt, allowing the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the heavens after death. Their angle, about 45 degrees, supports this idea. In ancient Egyptian belief, stars were not distant points of light, but gateways. These shafts may have been spiritual corridors designed not for physical travel, but for a soul's journey to the afterlife. Others propose more practical uses. Early attempts at ventilation, perhaps abandoned mid-construction. But there's little consensus. The Queen's Chamber shafts, in particular, challenge the idea of ventilation since they don't reach the outside. They seem designed not to circulate air but to lead inward, or upward, or nowhere at all. Whatever their purpose, their precision is striking. Even the smallest features of the Great Pyramid were carved with intent. So when a passage is built to go somewhere but stops, it's hard not to wonder what lies just beyond. And this fascination with what's missing or inaccessible leads us naturally to the most visible absence of all. Anyone who's ever stood before the Great Pyramid notices it immediately. Something's missing. The top of the monument is flat. Instead of tapering to a sharp point as the structure once did, the final several meters are gone. For a monument built with such precision and care, the absence is conspicuous. The missing piece is known as the Pyramidion capstone. In other pyramids, pyramidions were often small, highly polished stone blocks, sometimes gilded to reflect sunlight. They were both symbolic and functional, representing the Benben stone, the mythical first mound of creation, the point where divine light first touched the earth. But the Great Pyramid's capstone has never been found. Some believe it was removed during antiquity, perhaps looted along with the outer casing stones that once made the pyramid shimmer white in the desert sun. Others think it may never have been installed, perhaps intentionally left incomplete as part of a symbolic design. One intriguing theory suggests the pyramid was designed as a type of initiatory monument, one that reflects the soul's ascent toward the divine. The missing top could represent the spiritual unknown, the part of the journey that must be completed beyond the material world. In this reading, the pyramid isn't just a tomb but a metaphor. A few more speculative theories link the capstone to ancient technology or even lost knowledge, arguing that the pyramidion was made from a unique material and held some forgotten function. There's no hard evidence to support this, of course, but the mystery persists. Even efforts to reconstruct what it might have looked like are speculative. No records, no surviving fragments, just a flat, exposed peak and centuries of wonder. In a monument that has survived earthquakes, invasions, and empires, the missing top seems almost deliberate, as though what's not there is just as important as what is. And finally, we turn to a more recent discovery, one not hidden in stone but in writing. A slab of inscribed granite recovered in the 19th century, whose message may call the conventional timeline of Egypt's most famous monuments into question. Tucked away in a museum in Cairo, relatively unknown to the wider public, the inventory stela is a piece of dark granite inscribed with hieroglyphs, discovered in the ruins of an ancient temple near the Sphinx. Its contents are straightforward enough. It lists a number of items donated by Pharaoh Khufu, builder of the Great Pyramid, to the Temple of Isis. But what it says about the Sphinx has made it one of the most controversial artifacts in Egyptology. The stela claims that Khufu did not build the Sphinx, but that he restored it. This single detail flips the traditional narrative on its head. According to the standard timeline, the Sphinx was commissioned by Khufu's son, Khafre, as part of his pyramid complex. That's what most Egyptologists still accept. But if the inventory stela is accurate, it implies that the Sphinx predates Khufu, possibly by centuries or more. This claim has been used by alternative researchers to argue for a much older Sphinx, perhaps dating back to a lost civilization before the known dynastic period. Some point to erosion patterns on the Sphinx enclosure, suggesting water damage inconsistent with Egypt's arid climate of the last 4,500 years. If the monument really is that old, the implications are massive. It would mean the origins of Egypt's most iconic site reach back into prehistory. Mainstream scholars, however, dismiss the inventory stela as a later forgery or a misdated inscription from the Sate period, roughly 600 BCE. They argue it was an attempt by priests to legitimize their temple by linking it to a revered pharaoh. Its language, they say, is too late. Its purpose is too political. But here's the thing, it hasn't been definitively disproven either. No one has yet been able to say with absolute certainty when the Sphinx was carved. No inscription marks the date, no buried document explains the purpose, and so the inventory stela remains a quiet, dusty object on display, quietly challenging one of the most established historical narratives in the world. Whether it's a relic of truth or a clever piece of propaganda, it holds power not just in what it says, but in what it implies that beneath the stones of this famous plateau, and within the writings of its descendants, echoes of a story far older than we imagined may still be waiting to be heard. And so, beneath the familiar sands of this iconic location, we've wandered through stories both new and ancient, from high-tech radar scans hinting at forgotten worlds to unfinished chambers, unreachable shafts, and missing stones. Each piece of the puzzle adds depth to a place already steeped in mystery. And whether these discoveries rewrite history or simply add to its complexity, one thing is certain: the Great Pyramid and the land around it are far from fully understood. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of archaeology's most intriguing mysteries, make sure to hit that like button and let us know your thoughts in the comments. And remember, curiosity is the first step toward understanding. For Winds of Thought, stay curious, stay questioning, and we'll see you in the next exploration. If this journey into the forbidden depths beneath Egypt's ancient monuments captivated you, don't let the mysteries end here. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the world's most enigmatic places and unexplained phenomena. Drop a like if you believe there's more hidden beneath the sands than we've been told, and share your theories in the comments below. What do you think is really buried under the pyramids? Ancient technology, lost libraries, or something even stranger? Here at Forbidden Fathoms, we venture where conventional wisdom fears to tread, exploring the shadowy boundaries between history and legend, between what we know and what we've forgotten. Every week, we bring you stories that challenge everything you thought you understood about our ancient past. So stay with us as we continue diving deeper into forbidden knowledge, ancient secrets, and the mysteries that time tried to bury. The adventure has only just begun, and the next forbidden fathom awaits. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember the greatest discoveries are often hidden in plain sight.